welcome to Smashterpieces, a casual walk through the history of the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate roster. My name is Joe.
And my name is Matt.
And if you're new here, what we are doing in this show is we are playing one game for every character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate from 1984's Duck Hunt to 2019's Fire Emblem Three Houses. And today's episode is representing fighter number 58, Bowser Jr. It is the 2002 GameCube title, Super Mario Sunshine.
So you know how sometimes in those pre-shows that we do, we talk about our feelings on a game, and then we just play them and we were wrong?
Yeah, sometimes.
So, like, you know how I said that, like, Sunshine isn't a bad game, it's just the weakest Mario game?
I recall that, yes.
I, like, legitimately don't know how I said that, because this isn't like, oh, I played it when I was 10 years old and remember it fondly. I literally played it last year. I don't know why I didn't think this was a bad game. I should clarify, I do still think it gets some undeserved shit. And I think that the biggest problems are that it just needed more time. But it is a bad game.
So, I came away from it thinking that it wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. But I definitely did not come away thinking it was good. Because you mentioned you played more recently than me being ever. Because this was my first time playing this game. I didn't have a GameCube growing up. I agree with you for the most part, because for anybody that doesn't know and is listening to this show for some reason, Super Mario Sunshine is the second 3D Mario game where you are running around Delfino Isle, which is the island where Mario and Peach and Toadsworth and the Toads landed to take a vacation, and then Mario went to jail. Literally, like, as they were landing the plane. Because somebody got a bunch of pollution all over the island.
Which is simultaneously way more funny and way less funny in modern times.
Yeah. And it's because the person that got all this graffiti and gunk and shit all over the island looked just like Mario, except no, he didn't. He looked like a shadow of Mario, and also has been seen in the same area multiple times with Mario. But whatever, don't worry about it. And in this game, the main gimmick is that Mario has a thing called the Flood. It's a big water pump that lives on his back. It can talk. I always forget that it can talk. It shouldn't be able to talk, in my opinion. That's just wrong. Can you imagine if you played Luigi's Mansion and the poltergeist was like, "Hey, Luigi, suck everything into me"? I want you to imagine that reality.
Anyway,
But yeah, the Flood can, like, spray water, and it can also, like, you know, let you hover, and you can use it as a rocket, and at some point you get the chili pepper power from Mario Galaxy 2, but this isn't Mario Galaxy 2, this is a bad game. And, you gotta use it to clean the island. Because nothing says fun video game like community service.
This is like one of the earliest games where you can see Nintendo's gimmick-oriented design philosophy really become a thing.
Yeah.
The main selling point of, like, many of their modern games is often something that really doesn't make that big of a deal. I kind of feel this about Mario Odyssey, where it's like, Cappy letting you possess NPCs does matter, but I wouldn't even say it's like 40% of what you do in that game.
Yeah.
And this game is sort of like that, except they did make it the entire core game design. You're constantly using the Flood.
So, to go back to the talk about design, I agree with you for the most part. Of a lot of it, there are some things that are like, hey, guys, this was a bad idea. You shouldn't have put it in the game at all. We talked about that on stream multiple times about King Boo and his stupid fucking RNG slot machine bullshit that can make the fight take 5 minutes or half an hour. And not even in a way that, like, adds challenge to the boss. It's just...
wait around until it lets you continue.
Yeah, pretty much. So there is stuff like that. But for the most part, a lot of the problems I had with Mario Sunshine did genuinely feel like, hey, playtesters don't like this. Well, too bad. We have to ship in a week. Figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so much of the game just feels like they didn't have the time to fine-tune it, which is, like, all over the platforming in this game. Like, it all feels like they did it once to make sure it was possible, and then they went, okay, ship it. We gotta print the discs tomorrow.
Yeah, Mario is really slippery all the time. And then I think it really, really shows in the secret levels, which are the weird alternate dimension toy box aesthetic. They take the flood away from you. And when I've heard people talk about Super Mario Sunshine in the past, people have been like, oh, those are the best moments because they take the flood away and now you're playing a Mario game. And I disagree. They're the worst. They're the worst.
It's so weird to me that you've heard that because I've always heard the opposite, where it's like they are obviously the worst part of the game, even though, like, I kind of like them because of the speedrun jank that goes on. Cause, like, by the way, I think Mario Sunshine is, like, the perfect level of jank, where it's like, this makes for an incredible speedrun game.
I could see that.
Like, if you've never seen a Mario Sunshine speedrun, you should, because they are crazy. I absolutely love watching them. But, like, part of the reason that the speedrun is so good is because the game's physics are so janky, and you can get away with so much once you understand how that jank works. That comes out the worst in the secret levels where you can't use FLUDD, because you're essentially forced to understand the jank there.
Yeah. And I think the main thing that I came away with being like, okay, so this is why it feels bad. There's multiple reasons. Obviously, I mentioned Mario is very slippery for no reason. Jumping feels clunky, which is not something it should feel like in a Mario game. But I think the biggest thing is that from Mario 64 to Mario Sunshine to Galaxy, to all the 3D Marios, one of the most important parts of Mario is he needs to pretty much always have tools that will let him traverse just about any obstacle. Obviously, there are exceptions. Like, I'm not saying that I should hit A and Mario should jump over a sheer cliff and be fine. But I mean, like, if you have an area where wall jumps are possible, Mario needs to be able to wall jump, etc., etc. In that vein, this game does not really give you a way to traverse, like, to get across wide gaps when the FLUDD is gone. Because when you have the FLUDD, you have the hover nozzle, which is fine. It works, I guess, but oh my god, it's really boring.
And it's so weird that the FLUDD as a concept comes from that idea that Miyamoto came up with in this game, that you need to have some way to correct Mario's jump in 3D space, because 3D space is less precise. Like, literally the entire concept around this game was built around asking the question of how to solve that problem, and then they make an entire in-game challenge about removing that solution.
Yeah, so, like, in the secret levels, Mario doesn't have the long jump because there's no crouch in Mario Sunshine. Because when you have the FLUDD on, it wouldn't make a lot of sense for Mario to be able to crouch. It's covering his whole back, that's fine. But then you get rid of the FLUDD, and now you just don't have a way to get across wide gaps.
And, like, honestly, it feels like the levels were designed with a long jump in mind that was removed last minute.
Yeah.
Like, it really feels like that.
It's so obviously missing. It leaves such a large hole in Mario's traversal ability that I think a lot of the problems with the secret levels can be attributed to the lack of a long jump. But you can see that, like, those levels were not finished being balanced, because you'll run into sections where it's like, here is a 1-up mushroom that is, you would have to go out of your way to miss.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that just says, hey, playtesters keep game overing here and getting super frustrated. Look, man, just put a 1-up mushroom in the middle. We can't rework the whole thing.
We got 2 months left. No more time. Just put a Band-Aid on it.
Somebody in one of our chats described the secret levels as feeling like they were prototype levels that were then sort of visually spruced up and just put in the game as is. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but it does sort of feel like it.
So I don't think that is the case, but I feel like that's an important observation to bring up, because I definitely believe that these levels were designed from the beginning to be in the game in a final way, but you can feel that they were made with the intention of getting something done quick.
Yeah.
Like, they've got so many reused assets. The environment is pretty simple, and it's literally just put blocks in this area and see what happens.
Yep. Or you get the last secret level that I played, and that most people play, I assume, where you can tell that the designers just gave up.
The Chucksters.
The Chuckster level is the most, I don't know, man, we needed one more level. What do you want from me? Just have the Piantas throw them. That's the whole level.
It's something that already existed in the game assets, by the way. There is a shine in Delfino Plaza that you get from a guy that says, yo, give me a coin and I'll just throw you. And he can throw you into a window to get a shine. And, like, you can tell that they were like, okay, just grab that code and paste it like 6 times in this level, and then we're done.
And when playtesters was like, hey, this level kind of sucks, they said, yeah, we don't care.
Gee, Alan, how did you make a whole level in one day?
That's literally what it feels like, of like, it has the same feeling of the Final Fantasy prelude where somebody burst into the level designer's office. It's like, shit, we're sending the gold master off like in 6 hours and we're missing a level. I forgot. Can you make one?
Yep.
And the world's most tired level designer put his glasses back on, shed a single tear, and wrote the words, I'm a Chuckster.
This is the kind of game where it's like, I don't feel angry about how bad it is. I just feel like kind of depressed and pitying about it. 'Cause you know that, like, the people that made the game also knew that it was bad.
Oh yeah. You can feel that all over the place.
And that's just a feeling that kind of bums you out. Where it's like, this was not the game that they wanted to make, and you can feel it everywhere. And it's just sad.
It feels like a game that was supposed to be a launch title, which until we did this show, I was always under the impression that it was a launch title. But it's not.
Nope.
And like, that makes it even more confusing.
It was like 8 months later.
Like, what were you guys rushing for? I mean, obviously the answer is the holidays, but like, was it worth it? I mean, the GameCube already did really badly, so no, it wasn't, but I don't know. It feels like they didn't need to rush it through, because it's very rare that you find a Nintendo game that feels like that. Generally, they fucking hold on to those games until like, no, we're gonna hold on until it is good.
When did Miyamoto say his quote about delaying games?
I want to say it was...
Because I have a feeling that it was very shortly after this game.
I want to say it was about Twilight Princess. No, because Eiji Aonuma would have been in charge of that.
It was about Ocarina of Time.
Ah. Wow. So he was not listening to hit. Was he still in charge of Mario at that time?
I'll have to check the credits.
Yeah, I don't remember. I know he was in charge of 64. I don't remember if he was in charge of Sunshine. He's not in charge of Galaxy. I can say that for sure.
He was a producer.
Okay, so he wasn't, like, hands-on. He was around.
The game's directors were Yoshiaki Koizumi and Kenta Usui.
I see. Interesting. It's super rare that you get a Nintendo game that feels like it was rushed out the door prematurely. It just doesn't happen.
Especially Mario.
Especially Mario. Like, Mario and Zelda, for the most part, at least come out pretty good. Because they're given all the time they need. It's baffling to me. But, I suppose we should also talk about some of the stuff this game does right, because it does do a few things right, surprisingly.
Yeah, well, I think the idea that they went for of Isle Delfino being a consistent world where, like, the areas, like, exist in a spot on the map was really successful. And you can, like, the fact that you can look off towards where a level should be and you can see it in the distance, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I agree. You can see Pinna Park from just about any of the levels. You can see, like, the scaffolding in Rico Harbor, a lot of places. I think the one drawback to the game being, like, one island is that all the levels sort of look the same.
Yeah, because they all have to be this tropical island locale.
Yeah. Like, they can't have, this is the ice world, and this is where the desert lives, because there's not an ice world or a desert on a tropical island. And I don't think that's a huge problem. I just think it does suffer a little bit from, like, every single area of Isle Delfino is the same aesthetic, being tropical resort island. But I mean, I think the game's pretty still. I think the game looks very good. The water effects look really nice, which they fucking better if that's what they're going to build the entire fucking game around.
It was supposed to run in 60 FPS, and, like, every pre-release trailer was 60 FPS.
I'm going to assume it didn't. I'm bad at seeing.
It sure didn't.
Frame rates. Yeah, okay, that checks out. I don't know. I think the Piantas and the Nokis are all fun characters, even though the Piantas are the worst. They're so bad. They're so terrible. Like, not from, like, a design or writing standpoint, just from a fuck you guys.
No, but, like, talking to the NPCs throughout the game is the best, because they are all awful. I love it.
They're all terrible.
Did you talk to, like, the one couple that's staying at the hotel and is just constantly, like, being angry at the staff for stupid reasons?
Yes, I think I talked to them once when the hotel was closed because of all the ghosts.
In the first level, when you talk to them, they're like, wait, what? Why can't we check in? What do you mean the hotel's just gone?
That's awesome.
Like, are you lying to me? And it's like, no, look right
you can
there.
See. You can see where it used to be. It's right in front of you. There's no hotel here. But my favorite thing in the hotel is the room where the couple is awkwardly sitting on the bed. And the implication is neither of them know how to start. So they're just sort of awkwardly ho-humming their way on the bed, and then you burst in, and it's like, how did you get in here?
So that's the ones where it's like you jump on the bed to get in the attic, right?
Yep.
So the weird thing about the Noki is that the game can't decide if they're all children or not.
But one of them's a grandpa.
If you talk to those two, they talk about how they were just jumping on the bed.
Yeah, that's what was happening, guys. Sure.
My favorite part of the hotel that I think you missed is in that same level where you have to get Yoshi, and like Yoshi always wants a pineapple. So it's like you go over to the Yoshi egg and like it wants a pineapple, and you're like, okay, well I see a bunch of fruits over there, and like you go over to the fruit stand that has every fruit in the game except a pineapple.
Yeah.
And you talk to the guy running the stand, and he's like, I don't know what a pineapple is.
What do you mean you don't know what a pineapple is?
It's great. I love it.
You live on an island. They grow on trees here.
And then you have to go through this bizarre series of events to get into the one room in the hotel that has a pineapple.
Which is right below the room of a dude who's just like, hey, have you seen all of my pineapples?
And then if you bring Yoshi back through there, which you are encouraged to because there's one of the big ghosts that only Yoshi can kill, you get Yoshi in there, and then you discover Yoshi can't open doors. So your only option is to sit and wait until Yoshi dies of old age. Because the Yoshi egg doesn't respawn until Yoshi dies.
Oh, God.
So that you literally cannot do anything else.
Oh, that's fucking beautiful. Yoshi is a really weird mechanic in this game. I genuinely don't 100% know why Yoshi's in this game at all. He works so weirdly. There's like, 3 shines in the entire game that you are required to use Yoshi to get them?
It's probably for the same reason as like why Tails was made playable super last minute in Sonic Adventure 2, where it's like everyone was like, yo, Yoshi's gonna be in this game, right? And Nintendo's like, oh fuck. Quick, someone add a Yoshi level. Gee, Alan, how did you program Yoshi in one day?
He dies when the juice runs out. What does that mean, Alan? What the fuck? Yoshi has juice. When juice go away, Yoshi dies.
If you go into the water, Yoshi dissolves.
Yoshi is not waterproof. Yoshi is water soluble, and he should not have him anywhere near the ocean. Why are Yoshi fucking, they live on islands. Why would they die when they got in the water?
That sounds like an evolutionary issue.
Oh, it's so fucking stupid.
The Mario Wiki page for Yoshi just skips Mario Sunshine.
Yeah, it's not the real Yoshi. That was,
No, like, it acknowledges Sunshine, it mentions Sunshine, but, it has a section for everything Yoshi has ever appeared in except Sunshine.
Oh, that's fucking beautiful. I will say, though, with Yoshi, I can bring this up now because I don't really have a clip in mind for it, but I do like how they bring back the drums. When you jump on Yoshi's back, the song suddenly has much more pronounced bongo drums, which is something that they did in Super Mario World. And it is very good. And I'm glad that they brought that back as a shout out to Yoshi's origins.
It is pretty good. Although there are some songs where it does not work quite as well. I think Pianta Village was one where it felt really weird.
Yeah, I think I remember it sounding really weird in Pianta Village. It sounds really good in Delfino Plaza, but that's neither here nor there, nor hub.
Do you have a favorite level?
Do I have a favorite level?
When I was a kid, I liked Pinna Park. I kind of don't now. I think Serena Beach is probably the best.
Serena Beach that's the hotel, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
If only because that one level with the one where you're just going through the hotel doing through all this weird bullshit.
I think I might agree. I think Serena Beach might be my favorite too. I do kind of like Bianco Hills just cause it's the easiest to understand. No, wait. What's the one with the cataquacks?
Gelato Beach.
Yeah, I like Gelato Beach because I enjoy killing that Wiggler who's just trying to live their life, man.
Cataquacks are awesome, by the way.
Cataquacks are the most mean-spirited creature in this game.
How did you like the Watermelon Festival?
I found the biggest watermelon, and then I stunned all of the Cataquacks, and then it turns out that they still have a hurt box if you roll the watermelon on top of their stunned, buried body, and the watermelon shatters.
It's great.
And then I left Bianco, and then I left Gelato Beach.
There's a speedrun glitch where you can just clip through the roof of the cabana and grab the Shine Sprite.
Huh. Interesting. That kind of reminds me, talking about Cataquax, I think the other thing that sort of astounds me about this game is there's a lot of, like, kind of mean-spirited design in Sunshine for a Mario game.
Yeah, it's great.
Like, I can't tell if I like that or not, but it's like something you don't get from Mario games ever again. Like, even Galaxy's hardest stuff doesn't have the same sort of, yeah, well, fuck you energy of some of the shit they do in Sunshine. Like, Noki Bay, all of it, the entirety of Noki Bay, or the fucking, nah, you know what the worst mechanic is? The fucking blooper surfing shit.
Kind of, yeah.
It's fine in that first area when you're just going through, like, the race. But then they give you the 8 red coins in Rico Harbor. And it's not that hard until you realize that you're not allowed to get off the blooper even once you've already collected all 8 red coins. And it doesn't spawn the shine in the above the water. It puts it behind the bloopers on the dock. And even if you've already collected all of the coins, if you make contact with anything, you instantly die. Fuck you. Do it again.
Everyone's favorite level.
That is astonishingly bad. Like, it is without a doubt the worst thing in the game, bar none. It's so fucking terrible. I successfully got all 8 red coins like 3 times in a row, and still I tried to jump to get the shine, made contact with the wood, and died.
Yeah, that was definitely one of those things where it's like, we did not have any time to fine-tune this whatsoever.
Just put a button that lets me jump off the blooper, guys. B is right there. Just let me hit B to jump off of it. It's not that hard.
This game's progression system is also weird, where Mario 64 was, you needed 70 stars, and you can get those stars anywhere. And then Mario Sunshine is like, no, there's like 6 specific shines you need, and nothing else contributes to progression whatsoever.
And in fact, the only reason you're doing the shines before that are because they're the only way to get that the shine that matters to show up.
Yeah, to the point that the speedrun strat for Gelato Beach is to immediately clip through and get the shine sprite for the Watermelon Festival, and since that's the 8th shine, you can now go straight to the 7th shine.
Holy shit, that's genius.
Like, that is how much only those shines matter.
I think you were mentioning in the code, those are specifically the flags of, do they have these 6 shines?
Yeah. It is literally just the 7th shine in each level, and the one where you chase Shadow Mario. Nothing else. Like, people talk about the blue coins all being terrible, people talk about the pachinko level being bad, people talk about the lily pad level being bad, and the thing is, not only are all of those optional, but they don't contribute to completing the game at all.
Do they give you? I guess no. You get the Hawaiian shirt if you 100% the game.
Yes.
What a reward. I actually think that shirt's fun. I think it looks good.
I think it's a fine reward. It's just like not worth it.
And speaking of like those shines where you're chasing Shadow Mario, I think I know what they were going for with those. I don't think they succeeded.
Not really.
My thought is that it being the 7th shine in every level is supposed to be some sort of, all right, you've played enough of this level to know the lay of the land. Now we're really going to test you. You're going to have to chase a character through it. And what it kind of just turns into is, I guess we're doing this again. okay, here we go. And none of them are that hard to chase him.
Yeah, they're just boring.
Like, I think Rico Harbor is the hardest one. And even then, I didn't have any fucking problems, like, finding him. I do like that the sound source for his music is specifically on him. Not
That's funny, yeah.
Not the whole level, it's just he is his own sound source.
I think if you get far enough away from him, you can also like hear it like in the stereo channels correctly.
That's awesome. I know you can faintly hear it if you're anywhere near him. That's fun. But yeah, chasing him down like multiple times, especially multiple times in Delfino Plaza specifically, in chases that never get any significantly more difficult, it just feels like I'm wasting my time.
Yep.
It's really not great.
And like when you get good at it and can do it really like at speedrun proficiency level, it doesn't even feel very interesting. Like you look at speedruns and it's just they get a concentrated and consistent stream of water on him for like 10 seconds and then it's over.
Yeah.
Like that's all.
It's certainly a choice. And that's another one of those that feels like, look, we don't have time to make another shine. We don't have time. Mr. Miyamoto says that there have to be 7 levels that matter. And we don't know why that's the number he landed on, but we have to. And somebody at the team meeting was like, what if we just made them all the same shine? And then that guy got a promotion when the game came out.
Hey, did you know that Pinna Park, even though it's clearly separated between 2 loading zones, the entire inside of the park is loaded while you're in the outside?
Then why do you have to walk through a loading zone?
I'm watching a speedrun right now, and the strat for Pinna Park is you can skip a shine by getting Yoshi outside of the park in level 5, and then clipping through the wall and bringing him to the merry-go-round.
Jesus Christ. By the way, that merry-go-round is super fucked up. Like, it looks terrifying when you look at it, and then to get one of the fucking shines, you have to take a real Yoshi
and staple it to the thing.
The implication I got was that you were sacrificing it to the merry-go-round so that you can move forward. It's super fucked up.
You were also saying earlier the boss fights. You sure do fight Gooper Blooper.
See, I like the Gooper Blooper fight, but only because it's fucked. It's fucked.
It is, but also you do it 3 times. And then,
you sure do.
He shows up at Noki Bay, and it's like, what the fuck are you still doing here?
You don't even fight Petey Piranha 3 times. You fight him twice.
Yeah, and Petey Piranha is the one that became the iconic Mario enemy. This guy just came back in Mario Tennis, which in fairness is definitely where a blooper boss should come back. Because, like, he's the entire doubles team.
Yeah.
But it's weird.
I agree, like, it's super fucking weird that some of these bosses are... Again, it's another instance of, wow, you guys really did not have time.
Mm-hmm.
Because you fight Petey Piranha twice, you fight Gooper Blooper 3 fucking times. There are some bosses that you only fight once, like King Boo, which is a bad boss fight, and the Eel.
Which is a bad boss fight.
Yeah, and it's also just weird.
And the Wiggler, which I'm not sure if it counts as a boss fight.
I think it does, and I like the Wiggler fight, only because it's really satisfying to make the fucking thing just tip over and eat shit. It was just trying to go about its day sleeping on that one thing. What is that? Oh, it's the sandbird egg. We should have just let it stay there. The sandbird could die. I don't care.
But the sacred sandbird.
Yeah, and it can stay sacred inside of its shell where I don't have to collect 8 red coins on top of it. Hey, fuck the sandbird, by the way.
What a bad level.
What a bad level.
They're all bad levels. That's the secret. There are more bad levels than good levels.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of it is also just so many levels like the sandbird. Just, there is no margin for error. If you fuck up, you die. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm. And if you save yourself, have fun waiting for the sandbird to come around. would literally be faster to just die.
And like, there's nothing inherently wrong with that, I feel like, cause like, it's a platformer, man. Sometimes they're just hard, but the ways in which it is just so absurdly punishing for no reason. It doesn't feel good to play, and it doesn't feel like the game wants me to play it. It feels like it wanted me to buy the game and then put it on my shelf and never make eye contact with it.
This is kind of a big part of why the 3D All-Stars collection being so bare bones is a big disappointment, because Sunshine kind of needed that extra work.
Yeah. They could have fixed some of this shit, honestly.
And they didn't at all.
And it shows.
It is just the same game, except for when it's worse. Like, at launch, when you hit the Z button to pull up the map, the frame rate would drop to 4 frames per second.
Hell yeah.
When, the first secret or I think it was the second secret in Bianco Hills, the one with like the moving platforms and everything, you could see debug cubes everywhere.
Yeah.
And of course, in the tutorial, because they couldn't re-record the dialogue, Flood says that you need to press the button.
That's my favorite part, actually. You can also see that if you play with a GameCube controller like I did, when you go to talk to a Pianta or something, it says press A, but A is B. You have to press B.
Press that red A button.
You, like, come on, guys. Really? I get the Flood thing. I get the idea of like the button, cause I imagine they were planning on putting the GameCube support in at some point anyways, like from the start. Weirdly enough, they waited until after you can't buy the game anymore, but you know. And the worst part is I still think Mario got a better anniversary celebration than Zelda did.
I mean, yeah.
It's not great. It has some problems.
They didn't even increase the frame rate to 60 in the Switch version. Skyward Sword managed that, and it wasn't even supposed to be 60 frames per second at launch.
Beautiful. But you know what is great, though? Hey, the music in this game is pretty alright.
The soundtrack is like the one thing in this game that just like is uncompromisingly incredible.
Yeah, especially I think the strongest track in the entire game is Delfino Plaza.
It's the most famous for sure, but I would not say it's my favorite.
Oh, it's my favorite. It's my favorite 100%. Like, it has this bouncy energy of, like, you're in this new place and it's sunny and happy, except for part of the game it's not. And
I think my favorite track in the game is Rico Harbor. Because it's got that like that energy, that really bouncy energy that's like, okay, we're gonna have a good time here. We're gonna go do some crazy shit, and we're gonna pretend that this game doesn't suck because some of the worst levels in the game are in Rico Harbor.
Those fucking wind bullshit assholes. Fuck. God, a lot of them aren't they? Shit.
You didn't do the fruit festival, Rico Harbor 8.
Oh, God.
That level's terrible.
See, Rico Harbor was actually put in Smash just normal. No, not remixed at all. I mean, Delfino Plaza was put in Brawl without being remixed at all until Ultimate too, but you know. And I remember not liking it when I heard it at first. And I don't really know why. I think it is a very good song, honestly.
I love it.
I really like the music in Bianco Hills. I don't know, it just feels cheerful.
It's solid level 1 music.
Yeah, pretty much. That it works very well in the context of being level 1. It has a lot of personality to it, I think. I think the whole soundtrack has a lot of personality to it that I really, really dig. Unfortunately, it sort of also suffers from the same problem I mentioned about all the levels having to be themed around the same thing.
Yeah.
Being that a lot of them can kind of blur into each other because they're all supposed to essentially be the same aesthetic. And it just sort of, they start to blend together after a while, I feel like.
With a big standout exception to that being the Secret Course music.
Did you mean the only good part of the secret levels?
I don't think I've ever heard another MIDI a cappella song before, and it honestly doesn't sound that bad.
I'm sure there's something out there, but nothing comes to mind.
These are pretty good MIDI samples here.
Yeah, and you can tell they're MIDIs because they don't sound like they were recorded in that note.
One of the comments on YouTube says, "What if you wanted to go to heaven, but God said, I'm a chuckster."
Oh, Christ. I also kind of like the boss battle music. It's hectic. I think it is the weakest boss battle music of 3D Mario, but I just sort of like how it really leans into, man, you're fighting the goofiest looking giant piranha plant man that's ever been. This is, what you're doing is stupid.
I think this music fits the Wiggler really well, but not really anything else.
Yeah. Gooper Blooper, I think, also fits really well with this, because again, they're all just stupid. They're stupid boss fights. They're goofy cartoon bullshit. And I just feel like this song does a good job of leaning into that. when you go to like Galaxy, they're all like these big, epic, swelling pieces. And then just, there's this.
You know what MIDI sample isn't good?
Oh, please tell.
The crowd chanting in the staff credits.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that until just now. It's a really, really bad sample.
It's rough.
Oh, boy, howdy. They tried. They tried a lot. Y'all should have just recorded an actual crowd. It wouldn't have been that bad. It's just, it's bad to the point where I think it's actually, like, super fucking funny to listen to.
Kind of.
Like, it's like a single step down from the crowd chanting in Pokemon Sword and Shield, a game that came out 2 years ago.
I'm going to put forward this song track that probably most people who have played this game have never, like, registered in their mind that it exists.
Oh, no.
And that is the Yoshi Go Round music.
This music is part of the reason why I think this thing is the most terrifying thing that's ever been in a Mario game. So, like, the funny thing about the Yoshi Go Round is that the night before I did my session where I did that shine, I don't remember if that was the second or third session. I think it was the third. Second? No, I think it was the second. I was reading a webcomic called Stagtown, which is a very heavily Junji Ito inspired horror comic. And one of the central parts of the story of that webcomic is a really fucked up carousel with like real deer on it and everything.
Nice.
And for some reason, I can't not picture, like, I wish I could draw, because I would draw Mario and the Yoshi Go Round in the style of Stagtown. It's so creepy. You look at the Yoshis and they're so lifeless. Like, cause yeah, of course they're not alive, but they like go too far in making them look lifeless. It's super scary. And this music beats out Big Boo's Haunt so easily. And I feel like it's not supposed to. I mean, I guess we could talk about Corona Mountain.
Do we have to?
I think it's fine.
It's fine. It's whatever.
It is, again, the weakest final level music in any 3D Mario game. And also sucks. Not the song, the level. The level sucks. The song is fine. The level is bad.
It's a very bad level.
That boat genuinely does not feel like it is programmed correctly.
Does anything in this game feel like it was programmed directly?
Most of them more than the boat. I think the boat is the worst example of like, hey, how do we get the physics to work on this thing? I don't know. Can they move it? Cool. Or done. Bye. It sucks so much. Oh, that level is terrible.
Gee, Alan, how did you playtest this entire level in one day?
I didn't. Keep it up, Alan.
I'm reminded of, do you know I Want to Be the Bashi?
Yes.
For those that don't know, it's from someone that played I Want to Be the Guy and decided it was too easy. So, there is a GDQ run of I Want to Be the Bashi, which is an incredible thing to watch, where there's at one point a jump that is frame perfect. And the runner explained that he actually talked to the developer about the game and got some insight on things. And it turns out that jump was not supposed to be frame perfect. The developer programmed it in, tried it once, it worked, and he said, cool, and moved on.
Oh, beautiful.
And that's how the boat feels.
That's how the boat feels. It moves. Hey, did you finish the level with it? Why would I have to do that? Like, it's so fucking bad. Okay, I'm out of things to talk about with Super Mario Sunshine. It's had too much bandwidth in my brain already.
Did you know that in the court cutscene at the beginning of the game, in the Japanese version, the prosecutor's voice acting line accidentally refers to shine sprites as shrine sprites?
That just means that lawyer didn't pass the bar exam and was a fucking hack. They were fraud. Justice for Mario. This trial was a sham from the beginning. Which, that trial was a sham. That trial was a huge sham. Holy shit. Hey, Isle Delfino, I think you guys need to get a different legal system, because this one ain't working.
I mean, it worked.
Did it?
Isle Delfino was saved.
I guess.
You gonna tell me it didn't work?
They could have just arrested Bowser and Bowser Jr. They were right there.
Why?
I watched him stand next to multiple Piantas as they just said, that's weird, and let him go about his day.
Well, I mean, Mario was clearly the one that did it, so...
That's why it was already done when the plane landed. He's that good. Mario Sunshine's not very good. Can we go talk about another game now?
Why? You're in jail now, Joe. You're not allowed to leave.
I am in jail, you're right. Not allowed to leave Delfino Isle until... Shut up.
Delfino Isle was retconned out of Mario Odyssey. Did you hear about that?
I did not, actually.
If you...
Oh, wait, yes, no, I do know what you're talking about.
If you look at if you data mine the world map in Mario Odyssey, you can see what was clearly supposed to be Isle Delfino in it.
That's fucking beautiful. I don't know, why did they get rid of that, I wonder? That's super weird. Because it's not like that would have meant like, oh, well, then we have to make a level that's Delfino Isle. No, man, it's just an Easter egg. Just keep it in there.
Honestly, removing it makes it feel more like it's supposed to be, like, the secret DLC that never ended up happening.
Yeah. Speculate that it was going to be DLC, people did, until, like, people are still saying that now, of like, oh man, are they finally going to announce the Delfino DLC that they definitely promised me? They didn't promise you anything. I think it'd be neat, but I'm not going to hold my breath that we're going back to Delfino at any point in the future.
I think it's cool the rare times that we do in spin-offs.
I'm glad that the Piantas got to be in Mario Baseball after this, and so they got to be in an okay game instead of a not good game.
I mean, they've been in many games since this.
That's what I'm thankful for. Do Piantas show up in Galaxy?
I think so.
Because most of the time when it's like a beach aesthetic level, it's the penguins in Galaxy.
They show up in Galaxy 2.
Huh. Interesting.
And in Paper Mario, the Thousand-Year Door.
Oh shit, right, they are in Thousand-Year Door. I forgot about that entirely.
Yeah, they're the mob.
Yeah. They're the mob in Rogueport. It's fucking weird. Can't wait to get to that. That'll be interesting. Alright, we gotta wrap this up. Herschel is looking at me like, I'm gonna jump into your lap, motherfucker. It's gonna happen.
Tell him to play Sunshine.
Herschel, he only plays Demon's Souls. He won't play any other game. It's the only game he'll play. Other games are too easy for him.
Will he play our next game?
I don't know. We'll have to ask him in the section where we talk about our next game. And that game is representing fighter number 4, which is the lowest number we've had outside of Mario. Fun fact. Fighter number 1. It's Samus. And the game we're playing is the 2002 GameCube game Metroid Prime. It's Metroid and it's Prime. Prime real estate. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. We're not alone for this game. Joining us is our friend George, aka Super DQP. Welcome to the show. Good to have you.
In the reaches of space, below the surface of planet Zebes, Samus Aran faced the space pirates. She destroyed their operation, wiped out the parasites called Metroids, and defeated Mother Brain. But the pirates were far from finished.
Somehow the space pirates returned.
The worst part about playing on Trilogy is that I will not get to see the what I'm told is one of the best title screens ever, because the Trilogy cut all of them out, all 3 of them.
I don't know if I'd say it's one of the best ever, but yeah, it's pretty good.
I'd say the music is better than the menu in that regard.
Well, even that, I won't even get to hear the music in game because I'm playing Trilogy. That was cut out.
Yeah, the Metroid Prime Trilogy collection has one unified menu.
Yeah. And achievements.
It has wait, what?
It has achievements, yeah.
Some of which cannot be gotten anymore because you had to send friend vouchers to your friends.
High up.
And the unlockables were based on achievements, so it is now mathematically impossible to unlock everything.
And in fact, I don't know if there's going to be a bonus episode for this later on down the line, but did you know that in Metroid Prime 3 Corruption, you can get bumper stickers and bobbleheads for your spaceship?
Yep.
Hell yeah, baby. That sounds awesome.
With the gamer score that you earn throughout Metroid Prime 3, but also throughout the entire trilogy now, if you play it that way.
I just think it's really weird that they made a Halo game, but it's Metroid instead of Master Chief.
It's Sergeant Metroid, Joe. Have some respect for the troops.
I have never played Metroid Prime at all, despite owning Metroid Prime Trilogy on my Wii U for 7 years.
Sounds like that purchase got some good mileage for you.
It definitely did. I'm actually pretty sure that Ben paid for it, not me.
You've owned it for long enough for it to become super valuable and then not become super valuable again. It's great. Say, Joe, do you like reading, perchance?
I really hoped I didn't have to say this on the show, but I can't. I don't know how to read.
Oh. Okay, just checking.
You got about a week to learn.
I've heard that there's a lot of reading to be done with the scanning.
The vast majority of it is technically skippable, but you really shouldn't skip it because most of the storytelling is in those scan logs, and honestly, it's pretty good overall.
That's what I've heard.
You can skip it in the same way that you can skip all the cutscenes from Kingdom Hearts, but also, why would you? Also, why wouldn't you?
I mean, it would make just as much sense if you just were fighting Xemnas.
Yeah, so I would generally encourage you to, scan everything just to, get the neat details, and it's I think it's all well written to the point that even though you're literally reading a scan telling you exactly what you're looking at, they still do a good job of not having it be overwhelmingly tell, don't show.
Yes.
Because, the scan details don't tell you everything. It tells you just enough for you to have to fill in the details yourself, and that makes for what I think is some pretty good writing. So, I really encourage you engage with it.
And for the record, the game does not count log entries towards 100% completion, but I do. So I'll be holding you accountable.
I won't be 100% completing shit.
That's fine.
I 100% completed DK64 once, and that means I never have to 100% complete a single video game again as long as I live.
That's fair.
That's the deal we all made.
Kind of the interesting thing about the Metroid Prime trilogy is that, honestly, I kind of consider it a separate franchise entirely from 2D Metroid. Because in addition to the fact that there's like basically no overlap in the people that actually make them, it is just such a drastically different kind of game. Where
Yes.
I still think it is very good, but it's not at all what I like out of the 2D Metroids.
Yeah, it's a scenario where not only do the stories of the 2D Metroid games just completely never mention it, but at the same time, they have such a different game feel and such a different pace from other 2D Metroid games that I do agree that it is generally acceptable to kind of even just consider this to be its own thing, rather than a continuation of 2D Metroid, even though it is similar. Like, it is still, I think, a Metroid game. It's just a different kind of Metroid game, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, for what it's worth, the character of Samus Aran still fits very well into Metroid Prime. It doesn't feel out of place to have her in this kind of game. It's just a matter of this kind of game is not at all Metroid for me. Because Metroid for me is a lot about how fast and agile Samus is, and all about finding the best and quickest ways to move through the world. Whereas Metroid Prime is very slow and methodical. There is not a lot of room for you to do cool acrobatic stuff in this game at all. This game is more about taking in the environment around you and being immersed in that world.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but it is my understanding that you and I kind of represent the two different Metroid wolves, if you will, where you know you like to play Metroid more out of sense of, you know, playing it in the most efficient way possible, finding cool ways to break the sequence that the developers intend you to go through, and just generally doing things in an unintended but also somewhat intended way. Just finding the ways that you can exploit this tight puzzle box.
More or less, yeah. Which is not to say I don't like Metroid Prime. It's because I do like Metroid Prime. It's just 2D Metroid is exactly the kind of game that I love.
Right. Whereas me, I enjoy Metroid Prime and other Metroidvanias like it for the atmosphere, for their slowness, for the deliberation of their design and their levels and their pathfinding. And that's why I think I'm drawn more to Prime than I am to 2D Metroid, even though I still dearly love 2D Metroid. But Metroid Prime, especially back in 2002, it was 2002, right?
Yes.
Okay. Back when it came out in 2002, there weren't a whole lot of other games that were as just thick and dripping with atmosphere like this game was. At least not in the whole action-adventure space.
Well, even outside of that, like, this was a period where we still hadn't really figured out how FPSs on a console work well, much less a console that, let's be real, did not have dual sticks. The C-stick, not real. It doesn't count.
I mean, I would disagree with the idea that Metroid Prime was the first game to figure that out, because on the one hand...
Well, no, I'm not saying it's the first game to figure that out. I'm saying this is back in the era where, like, Halo was new.
Yeah.
Halo is generally considered to be, like, one of the first games of this genre that really nailed being played on a gamepad as opposed to a mouse and keyboard.
Right. The closest... I feel like the closest point of comparison for Metroid Prime, and at least its atmosphere, would be something like Half-Life, which did not really have much of a presence on video game consoles before Metroid Prime came out, unless you count the non-existent Dreamcast version of Half-Life, which nobody does. But
didn't it have a PS2 version? I don't remember. I honestly don't remember.
I remember there being like a console release that generation of either 1 or 2, but I can't remember which one. But the point I'm trying to get at is that, you know, this was not something that console players, much less Nintendo players, came to expect at the time.
Yeah, and even GoldenEye, which was kind of like the foundational console shooter, was a totally different kind of game.
Yeah. And also didn't age well.
Only to the extent that the Nintendo 64 controller did not age well, yes.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, yes.
Look, you tape 2 Nintendo 64 controllers together and weld them together, and you've got yourself a great time for GoldenEye.
Look, all I'm saying is that I played Perfect Dark on an Xbox controller, and it still sucked. So...
okay.
I think the main... We should start wrapping this up for now, just to not get too far into pre-show before we actually play the game. But
yeah, we still gotta do a whole episode about this game.
Yeah. But I am very curious about where I'm going to land on it, because I'm not... This is one of 2 FPSs on our entire list. As far as I remember, unless I'm forgetting something, this and Prime 2 are the only 2 from that genre in general.
What about Halo, Joe?
What about Halo, Joe?
Master... Yeah, what about Halo, Matt?
What about Fighter number 117?
They got his episode, and it was in the different reality. It's fine. The multiverse doesn't exist and can't hurt me.
But it's also worth noting that, like, Metroid Prime also is fairly different from most first-person shooters in that I would not really describe it as an action game. It is obviously a game that has action, but that action is a relatively small percentage of the game.
Well, yeah, I'm not expecting to jump in and be like, oh, it's just fucking Doom 2016, but Retro made it.
I can't remember if it was Nintendo or, like, some other game press person at the time who referred to it as a first-person adventure rather than a first-person shooter. But I think that seems apt.
Well, this was back in the day before we had the term walking simulator, which is definitely something I call games I like.
You could call Metroid Prime a walking simulator. It does not have a run button.
True.
There you go.
There is no Shine Spark.
However, you could not call it a Doom clone.
But the main point I'm getting at is that I'm not really the biggest fan of shooters. Like, I don't hate them, but I drop off on them pretty quick. Like, I had that problem with, like, Control. Doom 2016, I think, is like 3 hours longer than it needs to be because of that. Just stuff like that.
Metroid Prime has a lock-on feature. It's basically a 3D Zelda. You'll be fine.
That's true. The lock-on is also a big part of why I'm like, is it really a shooter, though?
Yeah.
I mean, look, I don't want to get into video game genres here. I've said enough about it over my life. They're stupid. That's all people need to know. Let's go ahead and wrap up. George, why don't you tell the folks where to find your stuff, because you do things, and people should watch them.
I do things, and people should watch them. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Say no more. However...
Yep, no more. That's all. Moving on.
Okay, whatever.
All right, so you can find us on...
Okay, so I do a lot of things, but I do not stream, so you probably will not see me streaming this game alongside Joe or Matt. But I do post-edited YouTube stuff at my YouTube channel at SuperDQP. I mainly do a lot of like video essay type stuff. I recently made this feature-length monstrosity about Super Paper Mario, which is has a good story, and sorry.
End of statement.
End of statement. You want to check out the rest of the statement? There's 68 more minutes about it on my YouTube channel. But yeah, SuperDQP. You can find me on Twitter at SuperDQP, where you can watch me whinge about video games and Alaskan politics. And that's generally it. Question mark? I think.
So also, we're probably about at least an hour into this episode's runtime by now. I'm sure Nintendo's lawyers have stopped listening. Do you want to tell the people how you're going to be playing this game?
Okay, so I have to stress legally that this is satire. This is not how things actually unfolded.
It's not legally binding.
So, long ago, back in the late 90s, Nintendo was still reeling from the failure of their Virtual Boy console.
Oh my god.
And, the Virtual Boy was a very flawed system. It only showed games in the color red. You had to use a stand. The controller wasn't very good. The battery life wasn't very good. All that. And Nintendo never really stopped experimenting with virtual reality technology, of course.
As we know from the Labo VR.
Oh, yeah. Naturally. So, after they acquired Retro Studios and set them to work on Metroid Prime, Jeff Spangenberg saw a new virtual reality piece of technology at Nintendo, because Nintendo kind of let him in on this kind of thing. It was codenamed the Virtual Guy. And Jeff Spangenberg really wanted to be... Okay, you guys see where this is going. Jeff Spangenberg really wanted to make a killer app for this thing. A guy game, if you will. And so he had Retro Studios create this prototype of this new Metroid game for the Virtual Guy. And, Nintendo went over and checked it out on... Retro Studios servers, but then, of course, they saw the other things that Jeff Spangenberg had on those servers. Google it. And...
Don't Google it.
And then Jeff Spangenberg promptly left the company, and his Guy game was no more for a few more years. But Metroid Prime was built from those ashes, and that's the end of this satirical story. I had no idea how I was going to hilariously end it, but... The point is, I'm playing this game in a weird way. I'm going to be playing this game in Dolphin VR, because I recently got a VR headset for PC, and I've been kind of exploring the VR space for a little bit. Half-Life Alyx, it turns out, pretty good video game. And I've kind of been playing around with Dolphin VR, and there have been some games that have worked great on it, and some games that have absolutely not. And Metroid Prime is one of those interesting mixed bags where I think there's a lot of clever things to discover by playing it that way, even if it's not the ideal way to play it. So when the Metroid Prime episode rolls around, I may have some interesting things to say about it and about how games on the GameCube were generally optimized that you don't really see if you play a game on a square TV like you would have had to back in the day. And that's also partially why I'm not streaming, because holy cow, Dolphin VR is actually very taxing on a computer.
I wouldn't know. Wink.
You also wouldn't know because you don't have a computer that can run VR.
Well, yeah, there's that, but also... shut up. For us, though, I'm going to be playing the Wii version.
Yeah, probably the Wii version for me, too.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll go super well. My room is not well set up to play a Wii first-person shooter, so we'll see how that goes.
I'm going to be playing on a Nintendo GameCube controller as God intended.
I have a save file that's old enough to have been able to get friend vouchers.
Hell yeah.
So, you can find us at the show on Twitter at Smashterpieces. I'm just going to stop advertising the Facebook page. We don't use it. I don't care. Don't use Facebook.
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at StringPixel. You can find Matt on Twitter at Grimace2Minus. And of course, you can find us on YouTube at Smashterpieces, where our VODs all go up, as well as the non-bonus episodes. Bonus episodes are primarily on the audio feed, simply because, that's I gotta send you there somewhere. And hey, you can also go follow our editor, Peter. He is really cool. He's on Twitter at Pete Speakeasy, and he does a show with me called Original Sound Chat, which is really good, and I think it's pretty good.
And also, you can find Smashterpieces and Original Sound Chat wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Google Podcasts. I'm sorry, Joe. That was your line. I think I'm stealing your thunder here.
Apple Podcasts, too. In fact, hey, even if you don't listen to us on Apple Podcasts, you should go to Apple Podcasts and give us a rating and a review, because they're the only service that does it.
It's true.
It's good for discovery.
Feed the algorithm, children.
Didn't Space Jam teach you anything?
This is a mercy killing. I'm killing this ending. Anyways, with that, my name is Joe.
My name is Matt.
My name's DQP.
And we will see you next time, whenever that is, for our episode discussing Metroid Prime.